Hey, everybody. Welcome to Don't Make Me Come Back There. We are a funny podcast about family. My name is Dustin Nickerson. I'm a stand-up comedian and the host of the aforementioned podcast. And alongside me in our state-of-the-art recording studio above Public Square Coffee in downtown La Mesa, California, is my lovely wife, my co-host, overall great gal, Melissa Nickerson.
Hey there.
Formerly Melissa Ruth Hoagland. I took her middle name, too. I'm very chauvinistic. Melissa Taylor Nickerson. I'm old school.
Right, well,
What can you say? I'm old
that's
school.
above and beyond.
Andy is with us as well. Producer Andy, Lara. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Andy, we love your bars. Big fan of the Lara bars.
Thank you.
That's the family. I don't know if you guys know that, but that is. Did you not know that?
He made.
I'm not.
those.
No.
He
This
found-
is not.
No, I
this
know
is
you're
not a
joking.
bit.
I know it's a bit. I know it's a bit.
Andy.
Yeah.
No,
We're doing great.
There was a girl named Lara who started Lara Bar. That it says it on the back of the bar.
No. Dang it.
Maybe that was my sister. Maybe I have a little silent little piece of the pie.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Nothing? No. All right. It wasn't. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. This is nothing what we're going to talk about. Actually, we are doing an episode of The Consumers. Lara bars. Go.
Kind of stole the premise of their show.
We did. Yeah, it's a good premise. Some may say stronger than ours, but, you know, some might say.
But
Oasis. Back? Anyone? I don't know if I'm going
No.
to see him. It's a pretty expensive ticket. Even though that Oasis is 100% Taylor Swift for millennial men. And I'm like, you spent how much on the Era tours? I was like, I should probably get like a couple of raincoats that I zip up and wear with sunglasses to that show. You know, I'm feeling supersonic. Everybody judges the Eras tour until their band kind of comes and does something similar, and you're like,
you know what's crazy is people like Swifties are now going for the second or third time. Mm-hmm. That's like repeat customers.
yeah, it's killing the comedy tour. The comedy tour.
It's killing all of touring.
Swiftie,
But-
she's Galactus. She's eating planets. No one else can. You're like, you've taken all the tickets.
That's crazy.
Taylor Swift has no effect on
That's so
Dustin
crazy.
Nickerson ticket
I
sales.
just-
You know,
No,
I'm like an ant.
I mean, like, if you're like, I'm going to invest, I'm going to do this, you know, she's coming to my city, and then you loved it so much.
Then you go see it in a
Saw
different
the
city.
movie, you know, listen to all her content, and then you're like, no, now I'm going to travel. And,
Well, that's what's
you know,
fun
it's
about
crazy.
it.
It's
Going
just crazy.
somewhere to see a concert is incredible. Because,
Yeah,
I mean, it's like when we did Red Rocks. You're like, this is the coolest way to travel. Like, have a anchored thing to go there. So, yeah. Chicago, Oasis, book it.
No, I'm just amazed. I'm
Yeah.
just amazed at this fandom. That's
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
Ask me if you think we'll go.
Do you think we'll go to Oasis?
I said maybe. That could be multiple Oasis songs. They have multiple songs with the maybe as a very key word to them. But anyways, we're here to talk about not Oasis or Lara bars. Today's episode, we're actually going to be talking about growing up in a military family, which Melissa did. I did not. Andy did not. We got some other stuff we're going to get to first, but we had you guys comment on the Facebook group. Dustin Nickerson Comedy Fans, which is like over 600.
We're at 600. Yeah.
Well over. We're growing, so thanks guys for checking that out. We had you guys send in emails as well, so we're going to dive into all that. Today's election day. You guys need to go out and vote today. If you're voting today, you're too late.
Yes.
This came out on Thursday.
We're 2 days too
If
late.
you didn't vote, you need to get in your time machine. And maybe go back 2 days, maybe go back further. I don't know.
Yeah. Depending what state you're in, though, they may not have counted your vote yet. So
Oh, that's a great point. On
who knows?
Thursday?
Yeah, they're saying like some days are 2 days out.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some of the counts.
Well, we'll see how this ages, but one thing that I'm sure of is that the next week will be super chill.
Yeah, that's just a prediction.
By the time this airs on Thursday, I think there will be. I think everyone's just gonna.
Everyone's gonna be peaceful.
Everyone's gonna take the news real well.
Just taking a long 2-day nap.
Yeah.
Our
And,
daughter actually.
Andy, be prepared that if something really bad happens on Wednesday night, you're going to be cutting this part of the podcast out. Because this, me being chill about what happens over the next 40
yeah,
hours.
we shouldn't
didn't
talk about
age
the
well.
future into the future. But our daughter was wondering, she's 10, she was like, why are you voting by mail? Like she was like, shouldn't you just do that online?
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
It is interesting, and you're trying to explain them like, hey, I know your whole world is online, but when it comes to elections, we've all kind of decided
Paper's better.
paper might be better, because we've all had an account hacked into or something like that, and
Cyber.
I don't know if we need the
Cyber
entire world trying to. Also, have you ever been to a government website?
So bad. So bad.
I'm not sure that we all shouldn't have to go somewhere and just say who we voted for, and someone puts it on a chalk.
Just a tally
Chalkboard.
board.
Chalkboard.
A tally board.
Oh, Atticus, right? The little.
That's for the math.
You just put one
Yeah.
circle over here and then one circle over here. So we'll just tally the votes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, well, another election year, I was telling Mel, this is our third election cycle with Trump in it, which is like, I was like, this is a big chunk of our life,
Yeah,
So,
totally. Our adult life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, let's get into some other stuff. One, we have if you guys haven't left reviews on the pod on Apple or Spotify, which you can do now on Spotify as well, and reviews, please, and star ratings, it'd all be great. Here's one that we got. This one right here is from Amanda G. 5 stars. Subject, the most good podcast, which I think is a reference to the doing the most good thing.
On Nate Land.
Yeah.
When you and Dusty were chatting.
Don't
about
Make Me
that.
Come Back. There isn't just a good podcast about marriage, family, and all the ups and downs that happen in the midst of all that. It's the most good podcast out there about all that. Do your soul a favor and tune in. Laughter? Check. Tears? Check. Raw honesty? Check. Listening to the podcast, you might forget you're not actually sitting around with good friends sharing life together, because you're actually more likely sitting folding laundry or cooking dinner while enjoying the company of what feels like old friends. Thank you, Nickersons and family, for all you do. This podcast is always a highlight each week, a source of encouragement, and a place I can come to knowing there are others walking in very similar shoes as mine as we all navigate this journey together. Wink emoji.
So nice.
That's really nice.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Amanda.
G.
And you can also just leave a review and say, Mel says it doesn't have to be funny.
Yeah, that's a classic one.
Yeah.
Or Mel says it doesn't have to be heartfelt. Or it doesn't have to be as good as Amanda G's.
I am all for a well-written review or a poorly written review, as long as
We're
it's
sneaking
a
up.
review.
We're sneaking up on 1,000, which is will be good. So, Patreon, where you can give a little more to the pod, get a little
That's
more.
right. Well, we've got
Sent out some posters last week. For
yes,
level.
we got some merch discounts. We've got BTS behind the scenes, first to know. News and updates, and then a monthly Zoom hang. Also, the Nickerson Christmas card.
Ooh, that one's coming up. We took the picture.
All right, so the November monthly Zoom hang will be November 17th, 5 p.m.
5
Pacific.
p.m. Pacific
That's
time.
right.
That is midnight Eastern time. I believe that math
No.
is correct. I believe they're on a 7-hour time
Nope.
difference. It's midnight Eastern time.
Midnight in
UK.
the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
November 17th, midnight. I believe that is when we know who won the election. November
Perhaps.
17th.
Perhaps. We'll see.
Can we know before Thanksgiving? That would be great. Am I going to spend Thanksgiving with my family? Too early to call. I did that joke last year. I'll do it again this year. I'll repeat jokes. By last year, I mean 4 years ago. Whew. Crazy. Anyways, let's do a little weekend recap before we get into our main topic, which is where we're discussing life as a military family. Growing up in a military family, which you did, and we did not.
I think growing up military is.
Growing up military, you like that?
I like that.
Clean.
Yeah.
What?
Just
give me the motion that you just did.
I did this.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just
Growing up, it's tight. I think that's what you mean. Tight. Oh, I forgot to talk about your shirt.
I don't want to talk about my shirt. I don't want to talk about it.
Well, Mel today is, if you cross your eyes and stare at it, you'll see a pyramid. Mel's shirt is the 3D optical illusion.
Yeah.
That's why I remembered that I thought of that one earlier today. Oh.
It's a schooner.
I don't see it. I'm just getting dizzy.
Those were tough.
No more.
Yeah.
All right.
Look
Those are
closely. There's a cat.
They're like, no, but if you look right.
I never saw one. Did you ever see the 3D optical
Yeah,
illusions?
I did.
I could. Yeah,
I did,
could do
but it took a lot of focus.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
Was the strategy the same way that you would look for when we played the game Sequence? Mm-hmm. You ever play the game Sequence?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, you're trying to get 4 in a row, colored or whatever.
Yeah, I would blur my eyes, which I can do. I can blur my eyes, and then I look for the longest.
You just look for the colors, right?
Yeah, which is hilarious. You can do the same thing in, the game where you drop the tiles in.
Connect 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Or
anyway.
to see a kite on Mel. I can see it flying.
I just like watching you cross your eyes.
Yeah. What can I say?
I thought it was
Physical
camouflage.
humor is my thing. The camouflage, yeah.
There you go.
Today.
Yeah.
There you go.
What is she camouflaged into a static TV?
You got the poster print right behind her.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
Well, let's do a little weekend recap. We're gonna.
Okay.
So this last weekend I was kind of gone, but not really. I mean, I was and I wasn't. We did the shows up. I had 2 shows up at Oxnard. I was gone in the sense that I wasn't in my bed. But it was up in Oxnard, California. Thank you everyone who came out to those shows. We did 2 shows out there. The first night I had no opener because there's a lot of improvs and Levity Lives. They're all the same company. And there's one in Ontario and there's one in Oxnard. And my opener typed in Ontario. And Ontario is so far from Oxnard at 7 p.m. 6 p.m. on Friday night.
Ooh.
I mean, you might as well be in San Francisco. You're so far away. And
yeah, that sucks.
you're not making it. So I just opened for myself, and it was fine. We had a good show, and the Saturday one was great, too. And then because I just had the early shows, I went into town, into L.A., and did spots each night. So I did Oxnard, which was super fun Friday, and then I drove in, and I caught a spot at the Laugh Factory, which is great. It's always fun to be there on I don't get to go up in these clubs on Friday, Saturdays very often. A lot of time they're like off nights. I'm just, I'm a road guy. I'm not in LA or New York. I'm not even really a San Diego comic. I'm a road guy. And so went there. That was fun. Trevor Wallace was there. We talked for a little bit. Hung out with Booker a little bit. It was fun.
That was at the Laugh Factory?
At the Laugh Factory. And then I went over to the store and had a spot in the belly room upstairs. And that was a fun show. They paid me $20 in a joint, which I did not accept the joint because I do not partake. But if you guys are wondering what California is like, it's like that.
Yep.
Yeah, they're like, do you smoke? I was like, I do not. And they're like, okay, because normally we give people $20 in a joint. And I was like, cool, all right. That's not that, I should clarify. That was not the Comedy Store paying me that. It was an individual promoter show. The Comedy Store put me on the show because the way if you do a promoted show there, the store gets to put a certain amount of comics that they want on. So they put me there. So the person who promoted the show, she was the one paying. So no, the Comedy Store was not a licensed official good business with a legacy since the 70s, was not paying people in marijuana. Glad I clarified that. But that was great. Nick, the only person you would have known, Nick Harris, who was the GM at the Portland Helium, but is now a manager. He was at our book party in LA.
Okay.
He was there. We talked for a while. It was a good hang. Yeah, it was a good time. Had a good time hanging there. And then Saturday, did the show. In Oxnard, they have so these things are always in malls. Oxnard is in the Collective. It's the thing in Oxnard. Taylor had a great line when I opened for an Oxnard. It's like, I don't know what people do for work here. Are you guys like beach farmers? Which, if you know anything about Oxnard, that's the perfect thing to say about it.
Garlic.
Yeah, there you go, garlic.
The garlic capital of the nation.
Yeah, I call them Bakersfield by the Sea, and
That's actually really good.
they laughed.
Aren't there like a bunch of like pumpkin patches and
Oh, I'm sure.
yeah, I don't know, maybe just in October, but yeah, there's a lot of farmland.
A lot of garlic. Is that the true? It's the garlic capital of the world.
Or like the nation. I think it's like the garlic capital of the
Well,
nation.
how about that?
Can't you smell it? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, when you're kind of driving
on the
out of
freeway.
out of Ventura County, starting to head that way. You can actually smell it in the air.
Yeah, I remember that.
Had no idea.
I haven't been up there very much, but
Yeah.
yeah.
They were good shows, and the Collective's nice, and they had a place called Ragamuffin Coffee, not Ragamuffin Gospel. That was a big book back in the day. You remember?
I didn't read it, but I know of it.
It was huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that and The Message. Those were the two big. I think those were the controversial.
There were a lot.
Yeah.
There were a lot.
I bet a lot of people at your college, SPU, read Ragamuffin Gospel.
Well, do you know The Message was written by an
Eugene
alum?
Peterson. Oh, I didn't know that he was
alum.
an SPU alum.
Yeah.
I remember. That sounds right. And it was endorsed by Bono. You guys want to know what it was like to be a Christian in the early 2000s, late 90s.
Wow.
Soundtrack by Sigaros.
Yeah. I definitely made a couple of youth pastor PowerPoints with Sigaros as the background. Yeah. Talk, was that the big track? Yeah, that was one of the big ones. Yeah.
And Hoppy Pola.
Oh gosh. Anyways, the Ragamuffin Coffee was very good. I went in and they're like, we don't do drip afternoon. I was like, what? And like, we just do pour overs. I'm like, yeah, you're my people. Let me get a liquid death to pair that with, like the beverage goblin that I am. So it's great. And then I went in and I did a spot at the Improv that night, which was fun. It was great. Yeah. Julie, the bartender at the Improv, says hi.
Nice.
Old Julie. Yeah. So, it was great. Thanks for everyone that came out to those shows. We'll promote some dates here in a little bit, but it was great. And then,
Love it.
and before we dive in our episode, so last year, Taylor Tomlinson, Aunt Tay, my sister Tay, she gifted me for my birthday like a season pass to Universal.
For the family.
With parking. Come on, Tay.
So
Above
nice.
and beyond.
So it's about to expire, and we had the free
We've done
Halloween Horror Night
We've done
tickets.
summer. We've done Christmas. We've done spring.
Yep.
So we're like, we need to do the Halloween Horror Nights.
They're known for it.
Well, yeah, because
And
it's LA, baby. Have you
it's
been
LA.
before?
Not to Universal, no. It was always not scary far.
Yeah. This is. If you don't know, Universal Studios is quite literally a movie studio. Like the tour lot you
The
go.
studio lots are right there, and so for the haunted houses, they literally just escort you to the movie lot.
Oh, the Insidious one and the Ghostbuster ones. You're on studio lots. You're like you're not really even in the park anymore.
No, you leave the park and go to the studio lots, and so we were like, we got to do this. We have teenagers.
Yeah. We have a 17-year-old boy, a 14-year-old girl, and a 10-year-old girl.
She's 15 now.
15 last week, yeah.
They think they like horror, like that genre.
So we go there. While it's still Universal Studios.
Yeah, we arrive around 3.
Yeah, we arrive around 3 because our pass is like a free express pass.
After 3.
Through 3, and so we do Mario, and we grab some food, and we're Universal people. We love being there.
We
It's
did Mummy,
nice. We did Mummy, Transformers, all the lower lot stuff that we've done a bunch of time because Universal's kind of our Disney. We know it well, and then it just gets dark, and then it starts to turn very Halloween-y, and everyone's like, okay, the vibes have kind of changed here.
The funniest part was our kids were like, this is the last night of the event.
Yeah.
So they're like, these actors are going to be phoning it in. It's not going to be that scary. We were reading reviews online because there's 8 haunted houses. They were like, none of them scared me. That's like what the internet says.
Yeah.
There's nothing scary in these. And so we were like asking.
These are written by like 40-year-old adults who just like watch Saw daily.
Yeah, it's just while they get ready for work.
Yeah. They like watch the Nun at lunch every day. Oh.
And so we're like, okay, we ask all the park employees, like,
what
which
are the
one
least
is the least scary? We have a 10-year-old. And so we did our first haunted house. It was my first haunted house.
Ever, right?
Yes.
I haven't done one of these since high school.
And our 10-year-old, I mean, so it's The Weeknd.
So the Weeknd has
The
one.
Weeknd.
The Weeknd, the singer.
So it's like he's DJing and
it seems kind of like upbeat, but they're kind of wearing like a werewolf mask, and you're like, okay, it's kind of like nightclub, haunted nightclub vibes.
We're like, this is perfect. And like we're in the second room when stuff starts jumping out of the walls.
You walk through a room and there's, a body detached from a head, just kind of creepy stuff. There's, weird crying baby animatronic in the corner.
There's mirrors.
Because of the famous Super Bowl halftime thing where he was lost in the mirrors.
Walls.
Only there's people jumping out from behind the mirrors.
Yeah, people are coming out of those mirrors.
Our 10-year-old hates it immediately.
Yeah. And so it's classic. She's clinging to both of us. And then
I give her my hat.
She's covering her face with your hat.
Yeah.
And then we're just kind of running through the haunted house, but we can't go any faster. Like we're stuck.
Yeah.
And she
I'm
hates it.
are we bad parents? Should we have not? But she's doing the thing with a 10-year-old who's growing up. She's almost 11, and the teens want to do it, and she's trying to be big.
She's like, send me all the photos. I got to show my friends. She's like, I got the best story for my friends, how I went to this. And so we get through the haunted house, and I'm like, I feel sick.
Yeah.
Like, my stomach hurts.
You remember your phrase to me?
That was the worst 5 minutes of my life.
This woman has given birth to 3 children.
Well, it's just, I think also doing it with a kid who's freaking out, like, I think all your kind of survival parenting instincts kick in. I mean, the point of a haunted house is to get scared, and you're supposed to go with like your significant other and like snuggle them and scream. Yeah. And stuff.
But it's not like roller coaster kind of scare.
It's a different
anxious
kind of thrill,
scare.
but
you're walking around waiting for things to jump out on you, and like, what terrible, creepy thing am I going to see in here?
So your body is like telling you like you're unwell. Yeah. Like you're in danger. You're gonna.
We can't emphasize how quality of this is. By the way, this is not your run of the mill like Federal Way, Washington, where I grew up. We threw some walls up in the mall parking lot.
A tire. Here's a hay bale.
Here's like just
a guy dragging a shovel.
Yeah. These are. I told Mel, I was like, half of these actors are SAG. Yeah. Like, these are real actors.
No.
And real makeup and real
costumes.
Sound effects and real like this looks like freaking the movies,
So it was insanely like realistic. Yeah. Yeah. So it was amazing, and I'm glad we did one, like the girls and I. Yeah. Because we got to experience it. Yeah. But so then we lined up.
The next hour is hilarious.
So we line up. We're like, okay, the second least scary is Ghostbusters.
We don't even make it this far. Remember? This is not what happens next.
Okay.
Claire needs a break. So we just go to a normal ride. We're going to go do The Simpsons. Yeah. And Gloria and Joel, Gloria, who handled the first one okay, goes and does one that's like a zombie one. And we're like, they're okay. The teens are okay.
That's right. The teens go to do the second haunted house while we go do Simpsons.
So we're going on Simpsons, and then we get a text from Gloria that just says, I think I'm done. I got really targeted by a zombie in that one. So now we've done 2 haunted houses, 1.5 as a family. All 3 girls are out.
Yeah, and it's like 7 p.m. or something. Like
it's not even fully dark
like
yet.
This event goes till 2 a.m. And
we had a lot in.
Can't leave now. The traffic will kill us.
I know. So funny. And so we finished that, and then we get Gloria. Now, I don't like haunted houses either, but now I'm like looking at my 17-year-old senior in high school son who's like, this sucks. No one wants to do this with me. And I love this kind of stuff.
Yeah, we were like, for sure, the teens will stay out. They'll love it. We'll just do the kiddie rides.
We thought we were going to go. Yeah, exactly. Just hang out.
Great.
We will. Yeah.
They're going to love it. They're going to probably do all 8 houses twice.
Yes.
Like, so Gloria's out. So that means our teenage son
like
is
flies.
The only one left. And so you sacrifice for him.
We go get in line at Ghostbusters, which is supposed to be the least scary one. It's me, Joel, and Claire. Claire's like, I'm going to try it again. And I talked to the guy, and he goes, I would rank this as the least scary, but it's 8.5 out of 10 scary. And so we're in line, and Claire's like, I don't know if I should do this. And I'm like, this is your choice. And I can feel her being torn. And I was like, I'm going to call Mom. And she's like, okay.
It's a pretty big ordeal to get her out of that line.
And you got her out of the line.
But we do.
And then,
the line is half the scary part. Because it's the anticipation of
and you hear people in there screaming, and it's Universal Studios, so the sound effects are great everywhere, and so I do that one with Joel, and then I just kind of settle into haunted house mode, which is you just gotta kind of anticipate everything, and you kind of chat with the person with you.
Everything's gonna jump out at you.
Yeah, that kind of keeps it casual. And then once you do one or two, you're like, all right, I got this. I know what you're doing.
They can't touch you.
No. So Joel and I are doing this. You guys decide to leave, but that wasn't easy either.
No, so we're headed out to the Universal City.
Yeah.
Universal City. And we're like, no big deal. And then we're
the park has transformed at this point.
Yeah.
It's not just the rides and the haunted houses.
We're in the lower lot, so we have we have a journey, and so we're like, oh look, there's a raven on stilts. That's kind of neat. And then he's like attacking people, and then there's like 4 of them.
Yeah.
And then there's like these other like a bush kind of creature.
Yeah.
And then these witches start coming out. So it's packed, and there's these crazy animals and witches like attacking everyone. And the witch has like a little knife, and she's like getting in your face.
Yeah, they like to get as close as they can.
Yeah, they're like in your face. And so Claire has been on the phone telling all her friends how, because we're all holding hands. We're like, we got to get out of here, but you can't hold hands.
It's packed.
And so Claire keeps telling her friends how I looked at them. And I was like, everybody run on your own.
Like they were really being attacked by monsters.
Yeah. And so we all kind of fled and separated. Yeah. And it was very funny. It was also terrifying, but it was funny.
And this was before the chainsaws came out.
It's a good story. And then some chainsaws came out after the witches.
And there were fires.
And then they have a huge fire effect. We thought we were going to be in that park for hours, and we could not get out of there fast enough.
You guys were out by 9.
No, actually 8:30. Yeah. So Universal City has a new little Hello Kitty pop-up cafe, and like with boba and cookies. So we got there at 8:30, and they were so relieved.
Yeah.
So relieved. And then I got really lucky because all the shopping closed at 9.
Yeah, that saved you $500.
Saved us a lot of money because as soon as we finished our treats, the whole entire shopping center was closed. And
then you guys just chilled until Joel and I were done. Mm-hmm. But Joel and I ended up doing like 4 or 5. And then by the end, he was like, okay, I'm good, which is great because you wanted. So I don't even know how to bingo dingo review this, but take your brave teens and older if you like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're scaredy cats. And I mean, the nice thing was we didn't pay like a ton of money for this experience. Yeah. And then we all bailed.
Hey, bailed. Sorry.
But it is a really good story.
Yeah, it's very funny. The kids have been loving telling it.
I don't regret it in the sense that like, no, they got to experience it.
No.
We don't like it.
Tried it. I don't like it.
And that's okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's do a couple dates here, and then we'll get into our topic here. This Friday, tomorrow, I'm going to be at the Well Comedy Club in Bakersfield if you guys are around. And then round out the rest of this month, 2 shows at Blue Room Comedy Club in Springfield, Raleigh, North Carolina at the Improv, and to Chattanooga, and then Everett the day before Thanksgiving at the historic Everett Theater. December, we're going to do Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Spokane, Phoenix. This one just went on sale. It's going to be 5 shows at the La Jolla Comedy Store here in San Diego, January 3rd through 5th. 5 shows, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, 1 Sunday. Kick off the new year with me. The rest of January, Indy, and then we go into the new year. We've got Denver, St. Louis, Columbia, Toronto. I got a fundraiser in Modesto on February 28th. These are new ones on sale too. Newish, Santa Cruz, Petaluma. Is that how you say that, right? Petaluma, the Mystic Theater. Berkeley. Eugene, this, and then 2 brand new ones. These are pretty far out, but next summer, July 19th, I'm going to be at Soul Joe's Comedy Club in Pottstown, PA. Great. I know. I'm pretty sure that might be near Lancaster. Not Lancaster. Lancaster. It's spelled like Lancaster. Lancaster, PA. It's Amish country up there. Jesse, our snake guy.
Oh, yeah.
That's up his
He's
part
up
of the
there?
world. Yeah.
Okay.
And then this just went on sale for next September. If you're a great planner, Stamford, Connecticut, New York Comedy Club. So check that out. Hey, Mel.
Yeah?
Bonus bingo dingo. How
Yeah.
about for the best Christmas pageant ever?
It's a super fun movie.
So fun.
Yes.
You knew the story. You knew the play.
Yeah, our daughter was in this pageant.
I should have known it too.
It's not a pageant, but it's called The Best Christmas Pageant Ever.
Uh-huh.
It's a book. It's a play. It was super fun.
Basic
storyline.
idea, right? You get your church annual Christmas performance, super important, especially in like a small town type setting, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And
It's pretty traditional. They don't switch it up.
exactly, it's
Yep.
very important.
Mm-hmm.
But suddenly, the bad kids, quote unquote, the bad kids, they
They find their way into the cast.
Yeah,
Yep. They
and they're-
bully their way in.
exactly,
Mhm,
and they want to be in it. They want to be in church because there's donuts, and churches, who doesn't want donuts? So they're there, and hilarity
Ensues.
and disaster and mayhem ensue.
And I will say, Judy Greer and Pete Holmes, amazing.
Very good,
The children are really good actors.
really, really good. It's a lot of fun.
Sometimes the kids aren't. They're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really sweet. It's really fun.
Mhm.
You can bring everyone
Yeah.
in your household.
Yeah, it's from Kingdom Story, Lionsgate. It's directed by Dallas Jenkins. Judy Greer, Pete Holmes, so funny in it. It's really a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. You're going to be sitting around with the family, the kids, the grandparents. Hey, we all got to watch something. Well, this is the something for you to watch, all right? It is out November 8th with some early access and showtimes on National Cinema Day, which is November 2nd. So for more information, go to bestchristmaspageantever.movie. That's bestchristmaspageantever.movie.
5 out of 5 bingo dingos.
5 out of 5 bingo dingoes. Check it out, everybody. So we're here to talk about, it's we're wedged right in between the election
Yep.
and Veterans Day.
Yep.
So we thought, what's a good topic? And Mel's bright idea.
Yep.
Let's talk about your life and just life in general growing up in a military family. I would say, as someone who didn't grow up in a military town, lives in one now, but it was like, I remember when you would describe it to me, because you were the first person I ever really knew closely that spent a lot of time living on a base.
Yeah.
I had so many. It was similar to me when I met a homeschooler for the first time, and I was like, "What? What do you mean? What?"
Because there's pockets of military in Washington State.
Yeah.
They just aren't in South Seattle.
They were. I mean, they're in
Yeah.
Fort Lewis down south there, but I just didn't know anything about it. So it was.
They just weren't in your city.
No, so it was so interesting. I just didn't know any, and I don't mean that you guys are like homeschoolers. I meant like I didn't know that it existed.
I guess what I mean is in San Diego proper, it is pretty hard to not find military.
Oh, anymore it's everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why
Like-
San Diego's so.
And that's why it's kind of unique that, you just happen to live in a place.
Yeah.
I mean, your uncle was in the military.
Yeah, but he never lived on base. My uncle was drafted into
grandpa,
Nam. That's
yeah.
different.
Your grandpa was.
My grandpa was in the Army for 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So, but living as a military family is a total different thing. Like with
I
the
would say.
kids and the moving and
Yeah.
time on base and all those things. So, Mel's got some topics, but we kind of, it's nice. We took some of your guys' emails and these kind of interject because we were like, what are the pros and the cons, the differences?
the memories.
The
Yeah.
memories, the specific things that you don't realize unless you were in it.
Yeah.
You know? So let's read this first email here. There's a few points. This is from Sarah. This was, she emailed. So she grew up Air Force family, which is you as well.
Yep.
And tell her dad retired when she was 15. They lived in 5 different states. Here are some pros and cons.
Okay.
I can make friends very quickly. If you live on base, you quickly make friends because you know y'all will eventually leave and time is short. The con, I don't have any childhood best friends, and it surprises me when relationships last past 3 years. Does this resonate with you, Mel?
Yep.
You got the making friends thing. So like every like teen movie you've ever seen where there's a lunchroom scene, you don't have any friends. You live that like every 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I super related to that. Just like you have the tray and you're like,
but you weren't Lindsay Lohan.
who am I going to be today? Yeah, no, I think
who am I going to be today?
Yeah. I think when you arrive at a new city, state, school, you are just building rapport for lunch. Like 8 a.m. to 11:30, like you're just like socially navigating lunch.
Is it like prison and you just got to like kind of get ready for getting out in the yard and just making sure your back's covered and you've like rallied the right support?
Yes.
Who's in charge here? How do I get them to like me?
Gang mentality. Yeah. No, one of my worst, it's a very anxious. The first day of school it's a very anxious day.
Yeah.
And the worst thing that happened to me was, well, many things, but one of them was first period. My teacher said, sit wherever you want. Sit at any open seat.
And you didn't want that.
And you're like, I don't want any more attention on me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, put me in a seat.
Please make this decision for me.
Don't make me do this.
Yeah.
You know? And I remember this one girl was like really rallying for me to sit by her. And I was like, this is so awkward. You can't say no to the one person who's like, sit here, you know? And, but I do remember one time, I'm just keeping this vague. I don't know for who, but I found at lunch, my first day at this new school, I saw the popular table, but I got invited to like the nerdy popular table, like the high achieving.
Yeah.
And I was like, immediately knew my destiny for the next 7 years.
Nerdy popular.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And I appreciated the invite though.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you kind of have to. If
you got invited to both tables your first day?
I didn't get invited to the popular table.
Okay.
But I knew immediately that I had not gotten chosen by the popular table.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Because I was in a honors English.
Yeah.
In the morning.
Was this the 8th grade one, Mika?
Yeah. I was, for some reason, I was trying to keep this like.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Where you grew up, it doesn't matter.
So it wasn't 7 years. It was 8th grade to.
Well, this is one of my favorite stories
4.5 years.
that you tell me is before. So you went from Texas to Tacoma.
Yeah.
And you got really hyped by the teacher, right? Like, we got this scholar coming in.
Honestly, though, here's the thing. That's probably the one time I've ever had a teacher hype me.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Like,
and you weren't even there to hear it.
I wasn't there to hear it, but she wrote me this letter of recommendation that was so good.
Yeah.
That
Tacoma was like, we have this genius coming in.
Yeah. And so
and you are very smart.
So I came in and this teacher was like telling everyone how amazing I was. And then I had to walk in the door.
And they're like, who's this 80-pounder, 8th grader?
And the thing about that community was all of those kids went to preschool together.
Yeah.
And so I came in for a semester of 8th grade. And so I had all this hype. It's too much. It's too much to live up to.
Could never live up to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're Freddie Adu. You don't get that reference.
I don't.
Okay.
I also had studied like the opposite math. Like they had done algebra like backwards.
Right.
And so the first day I show up, he's like, just take this test. We'll just kind of assess where you're at. And I totally bombed it because
and they're like,
I had
man,
been learning
did she write her own letter?
other content. Also, my orthodontia got all messed up. I got a rash because of the climate change and puberty. So I had a rash on my neck, and the guys were like, "What's on your neck?" Like I had hickeys or something. It was early onset psoriasis.
Yeah. I mean, middle school is hard by itself.
So
and
braces, rash.
Yeah.
The culturally, the shoes were very different. The cut of the jeans.
I mean,
the shoes
Texas
were very
to Seattle is crazy.
Small town Texas
in the 90s.
to Seattle. Yeah, it was. And then culturally also, Texas is like everyone goes to church on Sundays.
Well, you were small town Texas
and
too.
Everyone's like Baptist.
Yeah.
And
in Seattle, we burn Bibles every day before school.
No one goes to church in the Northwest.
Nobody. There's no Christians there.
Well, it was just very culturally.
I mean,
very
it's a huge
different.
shift. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways,
But that does, and I think that's
funny.
kind of what they're saying. There
Yeah.
is an adaptability to you.
The first day we went to a new church.
Yeah.
8th grade was rough.
8th grade's hard already.
First day we go to this new church. Of course we go to the Sunday school hour.
Yeah.
And I show up and I faint. I faint during the worship portion because I got hot. And I buckled my legs and I didn't have him to sit by.
Yeah.
And I sat by myself and then I fainted. The music stopped after I fainted. And
hey, the new girl fainted.
And then we went back to church that night.
Yep.
Sunday night.
Yeah.
I'm back. Hi, I fainted this morning.
Is that the girl that fainted? You're also like 80 pounds at this point in your life too, right?
I looked like a 5th grader.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a 3rd grader. Yeah. Yeah. I survived that. I can survive anything.
It's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
This is like my first 3 days in Seattle.
Fantastic. Just a couple more here on this email. The sound of jets makes me feel safe. We're stationed at Andrews Air Force Base in the late 90s.
My dad was stationed there.
And was scared of thunderstorms. Whenever I heard fighter jets overheard, I knew weather was clear. To this day, I love the sound of fighter jets. It is safety to me. There is a feeling of lostness. I'm not really from anywhere. My mom grew up Air Force too, so not really from anywhere either. I ended up marrying a missionary kid who also grew up in different places where his dad ministered. So we both really get each other. We both freeze up when people ask, so where are you from? Because there's no clear answer. You've identified that too, right?
Yeah.
You've said like I don't like have like a childhood home, city, place, you know?
Yeah.
You're a wanderer.
Yep. Just
Mel's a Rolling Stone.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I think we have family in Colorado. That would be like our most
closest.
Stationary.
Yeah.
You know, kind of.
It's very interesting because as someone like who really identifies with where I grew up in Seattle, and I talk about it all the time. Taylor, her and I were on the phone talking about that. She was like, Seattle's such a cool place to be from, to like say where you're from. Like Seattle. These are I went to this college. These are my team, and it's nice to like have that.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have a place that she's proud to be from, and you don't have anywhere really. But I guess a kind of saying I grew up Air Force is kind of like that, though. It is an identifier.
It's part of, like, the pride, like, in the sense that, like, if you go through something really hard with a group of people, you're connected to them. And so I think, you know, like, when you're stationed with people or you deploy with people.
I think that's called trauma bonding, right?
Yeah. You connect, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So this is one that I think is
okay. you try and find the
silver lining.
Silver lining.
Yeah. I bailed you out there because you were not anywhere near silver lining.
I'm trying to find a silver lining here. I remembered this. In 2nd grade, I wrote a book called It's Fun Moving. We had to write a book for school and illustrate it. So that's what I wrote my book on.
Man, if you want to know what it's like growing up in the military, it's that book.
Yeah.
You were gaslighting your 2nd grade self.
The teacher bound it. I think I still have it. It's like me smiling, like, I love to move.
Yeah. The saddest part is there's no childhood home for that book to be in. Go to military so hard. The moving is wild.
Yeah.
It's fun moving. Why is the page wet? Oh, don't mind that.
Every like 2 to 3 years, you do get an unsettling feeling that this is all going to end.
Yeah.
It's time to go. Cut the ties.
You're just like looking at your friends. They're like, hey, man, just don't share all your secrets with me. Don't get too deep with me, man. I can't give you what you want. Not here. Not now.
It's crazy.
You really are like you're like the, I don't know. You're the you're the little carnival that pops up in the mall parking lot.
The traveling circus.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that's very funny and sad and great. This is the one that I was most interested by, because I remember experiencing this when I went with you guys. So she said, I love living on base. She felt super safe, always lived near a playground, which is awesome. When we lived on base in Alabama, they would play the national anthem at noon, and I was taught to stop, stand in the direction of the flag. It put my hand over my heart. That felt very cool to me as a kid. And then she says, at the end of the day, it all feels normal as it was just life. I imagine there's some unprocessed trauma from frequent moves and school changes I haven't addressed. I'm so very grateful, though, to those who serve this nation, as it is fruitful but a challenging life. And thanks for the question. And you've talked about that, too. Though let's say that, well, let's go there and then talk about base life. Mm-hmm. You do, when you understand the sacrifice much more vividly and day to day personally than, those of us that kind of watch it from the outside looking in.
Yeah,
I hear about it. It's very different to live it.
There's a lot of like ceremonies to it, like retirement ceremonies, like 4th of July,
a lot of
Flag
built-in
Day,
parties.
like there's a lot of there's times when you like watch a little ad, for a flag, or like an
ad for a flag.
No, like you see like a visual of some.
Oh,
like
I see what you mean. Yeah,
with some fireworks and some music.
Yeah,
and, and sometimes it just like hits you.
Oh,
like a 4th of July sale for a plumber.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like sometimes you're just like,
Oh, I've seen you full weep at national anthms and fly, and there's just a lot.
Flyovers.
Yeah.
There's just times where you're like, oh man. This is part of who I am.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's your Seattle. That's your thing. That's like, and that is a very defining factor, you know? And I think people in the military, you can say that proudly. Like that feeling of loss is like, no, I grew up military. That was my identity. And in some ways, that's such a strong identifier.
It is definitely.
In the same way that I immediately connect with people where I'm from. If you talk to somebody that grew up military family, you immediately understand each other. Yeah. You're like, where did you live?
What's funny is I have 3 friends just from every place I lived. I have 3 friends who are married to pilots in the military.
Really?
Yeah. I just thought that was kind of odd. But I do. And I see them all over the world. Yeah. And all that. So
well, you mentioned that there's like a camaraderie. That's kind of like comedy for me, and that like, but you know a lot of people in a lot of different places. Your whole family does.
Yeah. We would travel like a lot as a family unit. Yeah. And my dad knew someone in every airport. Yeah. We just got used to it. Yeah. We're just like, oh, dad knows them. And from the military. Yeah. So you do
aviation because your dad was a fighter pilot.
Or you know a lot of people all around the world, and you have like very similar experiences to them. And so there's a lot of commonalities there. Yeah.
So the base life is what I always found most interesting.
Yeah, because we used to take you on base.
The first time a couple times I went to Edwards, and when your family was living in Lancaster. Yeah. And I did not know anything. I didn't even really know what it meant to go on base. Because I'd never seen a military base. I'd seen like Fort Nisqually, like the old, the old forts and stuff, and you go through and it's
the security,
and there's people, and your dad flashes his ID, and like there's a whole little
looting, and
there's a whole little city back there. Yeah, there's housing, there's a bowling alley,
Burger King.
There's a Burger King. There's we golfed. It's like there's a golf course back here, which I know is not true for all of the bases, but that one did. This is Edwards in Lancaster.
So there's a movie theater. Like she said, playground.
The playground,
gyms, bowling alleys.
Okay, so tell me about the base store. The base store There's multiple. Is there a grocery store?
They all have different names, but ours was called the BX, which is the Base Exchange. And that is kind of like, it's kind of like a Target with name brands. Like they have Nike in there. Oh. And like Oshkosh, you know. So it's kind of like a Kohl's.
Okay.
Base Exchange was kind of like a Kohl's. And then you had the commissary.
Okay.
And the commissary was the grocery store.
Okay.
Yeah.
What can you call a grocery store?
I have no idea.
Yeah, military.
Yeah. And then you had your gas stations.
Yeah.
So those were the 3 stores that they had. But I think they were like tax-free.
There's churches on here too, right? There's churches on the base?
Yeah, so there would be, oh yes. Okay, I'm trying to remember it. But they would have like 4 churches. They had names, like, but I can't remember it.
Well, you have to represent the denominations.
Yeah.
There's probably a Methodist, a Baptist.
So they kind of, they're like, we're in Okinawa, Japan. So, you know, here's the 3 you can choose
There's a
from.
non-denom one called Journeys. And you're like, isn't that the logo from the shoe store? Yeah, it's on base. They don't really. Journeys with a Z. What?
Yeah. So, yes. So you would quickly like assemble like your groups. Yeah. Yeah. We were, of course, very involved in the church.
Well, and there were times, so you, but sometimes you would go to a church off base, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you didn't,
So
the only times you lived on base were Okinawa.
Okay, so I lived in Okinawa, Japan from 1st to 4th grade on base. My dad, he taught at the Air Force Academy, and we lived on base from
in
like
Colorado Springs.
Or preschool to kindergarten. Like kind of, that's where my sisters were born.
Right.
We lived off base in Texas.
For those keeping track at home,
in Seattle.
Mel was born in Manhattan, Kansas, then went to Colorado.
No, then I went to Stanford.
Oh, yeah. Then you had when your dad was studying. So you went to Stanford, but you weren't living on base then, or you were?
I think we were off base. Yeah.
Were you born on base? Were you in a base hospital?
The military,
the bases have hospitals, of course.
They have hospitals.
We have a huge one here.
Military sent my dad to get an MBA at Stanford.
So you're born on base in Manhattan, Kansas. Then you moved to Stanford, but you're living on campus or on base?
Not on base.
Yeah.
I think we're off campus.
Okay, so you're off. Okay,
yeah.
And then you go.
We live in student housing.
Okay,
Yeah.
And then you go to Okinawa.
Then we went to Colorado.
Then Okinawa.
My sisters were born in Colorado. We went to Okinawa.
Colorado and Okinawa are all base years.
Yes.
Because your dad's teaching at the Air Force Academy at that point.
And then he was a fighter pilot in Okinawa. During Desert Storm.
And then you go to Burke-Burnett, Texas. Now you're off base.
Now we're off base.
Yeah.
Yep.
Way off base. Sorry, that's a dumb joke. And then you guys don't move back on base at that point.
My dad,
but you spend time on and off the base.
My dad was working at Shepherd Air Force Base. In Burke-Burnett.
In Burke-Burnett, Texas. Okay.
So it was Wichita Falls.
Yeah.
And then my dad retired.
Right.
Yeah. And then he did some stuff with airlines, flying, and then he moved to Seattle and worked for Boeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's how we got to the Northwest.
There's 6, 7, 8 years on base in there. Young years, but there's always still base life because you can go on the base.
Yeah. There's also like a lot of TDI.
What's that?
Temporary deployment. TDY.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad deployed a lot in Okinawa.
Oh, okay.
Because he was a fighter pilot.
That makes sense.
And then when they like rank up, they got to go off to trainings and stuff. Because my dad became a lieutenant colonel. And it's just a lot of different things constantly. Yeah. I mean, there is like a lot of like insecurity about like moving again and getting set.
The phrase that you made, this won't make the move.
Yes, that's a classic Charlene phrase. My mom, so the movers that they pay.
I think let's set this up. I think this is a phrase that only military families would get. That you'll have items in your life where you just say, "This
won't make the move." Like it'll kind of break, or it's just like an ongoing joke. But the movers.
What kind of stuff doesn't make the move? You're like, it's too fragile. We don't care enough about this.
Like a bad nightstand, you know? It's not going to make the move. This is how we coped. Was just saying this. This isn't going to make the move.
This won't make the move.
The movers.
This won't make.
The movers would pack like a glass of water if they could.
Yeah.
They would pack your cell phone.
Yeah.
They packed my graduation dress.
Yes.
My high school graduation dress. It was on the closet, hanging, like on the edge of the closet.
Yeah.
They packed it. Like if they see it, they'll pack it.
Yeah.
And is one of the worst days is the packing day. Because everything is chaotic and everything's leaving.
Yeah.
And so I did move like the day after.
You graduated from high school.
Yeah, and turned 18.
That wasn't a military move, though.
Yeah.
I think that this won't make the move is very funny and very just such a specific military experience that because you're going to be moving that often. So,
and it's like a whole thing, like with your cars.
Yeah.
Like we had cars in Japan.
You're living a temporary life.
We had a pet this pet.
You are.
This will make them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You look at your aging cat. This won't make the move.
Our cat did make a lot of moves.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure did. It's all you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy.
Let's do a couple more. This is from Megan. Megan, my husband has been active duty Air Force for 15 years. The best thing is finding friends all over the world and experience new places and cultures. Now, granted, we've had the opportunity to live in Hawaii. A lot of families get stuck in the middle of the desert in Armpit, California, their whole career, Lancaster.
Yep.
It's a roll of the dice for sure, but hey, I moved to Vegas kicking and screaming, first move with my husband, and that's where I first saw Dustin, so it all works out in the end. Picking up a positive attitude and finding the good even in the worst of places helps so much. Also, the constant moving might suck, but it helps you be less attached to stuff and just want to abandon all your household goods because who really needs all this crap?
It's a good way to purge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my dad was in the military 22 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's do one more email here, and then we'll wrap up. This is from Cindy. They've been long time.
I thought they might write it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hi, Dustin and Mel. I've both grown up military kid and am raising military kids. So now neither my kids nor I really have a common military experience. My dad was reserve, but his civilian job was on base. Because of that, we were really only stationed two places, a suburb of Atlanta and Montgomery, Alabama from 7th grade on. I can't really remember many special things from that. We did get into the fields where they practiced dropping cargo and find the glow sticks they dropped. That's funny, which I assume were attached to something else, so they would find what they dropped at night. And there was once or twice a free cheap trip to Disney, Busch Garden, or SeaWorld. Oh, and presents from the places they would visit. I did end up collecting a lot of porcelain dolls from other countries. Did you guys get that there's occasional free trips to theme parks? There are military
They do
nights.
have military days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do have, you can buy tickets to like Disney on base.
Yeah. You had, you flew in their planes,
Yeah, we would fly on the military planes, and these were loud. These were cargo planes. They were not passenger planes. And we would have like
It's crazy.
We'd be on jump seats.
You're like a little kid.
We didn't have real seats.
Yeah.
It was just like it wasn't burlap, but it was like polyester.
Incredible.
Was it like everyone on the wall?
Yes.
Like with cargo just in front of you?
Yes, and we'd have to put in earplugs, which were way too big.
You see your cat right there?
Way too big for our ears. They're,
they're for
foam
adults.
Earplugs, so we were just like, we couldn't hear anything. We just fly across
Next time your
ocean.
Kids complain the internet's not working on a Delta flight, let me tell you.
But we did run, I've probably told this story before. We did fly on a medevac, which is a medical airplane. And one time we were flying to Hawaii from Japan, and they looked at me and they're like, would you like to go lay down? And they put me in a medical bed.
Because you fainted again?
And I was like 8. I slept the whole flight.
Unbelievable. My
family was like, how'd you sleep? I just lucked out.
That's unbelievable. I love that. Okay, let's finish this email. I will say the move was hard, but I did bounce and realize good friends could be made anywhere. Probably the hardest part was that he was set to deploy my senior year of high school because of 9/11. That year, I graduated high school. My sister graduated college and got married. My oldest sister had a baby boy. Almost every week that year, We got word to expect the orders to come down for him to ship out, but they never did. This was a hard year, constantly expecting him to leave and miss all the big family events, but God worked that out too, and they could never get clearance from the country they were trying to put the troops in. Now, my girls have moved around more, although we did get a 7-year stretch in Alabama, and they did have to spend a year without their dad. But because of that, they did get a 2-week vacation in the main island of Hawaii at the 6-month mark to spend time with him. There they got to swim with sea turtles, go whale watching, my appendix and hold a seahorse. Go whale watching my appendix? I don't know what that I meant. And hold a seahorse. I don't know how. And the year before, we did a cash and credit card points to stay with another military family that was stationed in Fairbanks, Alaska. And so did things like dog sledding and take a reindeer on a walk. If you're curious, you lead it like a horse. So to sum it up, pros, experiences, new places, friends, cons, leaving friends, moving, being without the service member. I will say, I mean, that's the anxiety of the family member leave. The leave is the hardest part. I mean, a year. I mean, you have huge chunks of your life, months, right, where your dad was gone.
Yeah, I mean, ours weren't as long as Navy deployments.
Yeah, Navy deployments are.
And if my dad had tried to be a colonel, he would have done like a DC stay, and that would have. And my family, we had 2 teens. Like my brother was a teenager, I was a preteen, so we didn't go that route. But it does get harder as the climb ranks. It's kind of like CEOs. Like you're gonna miss more. Of your family's life. Yeah,
you get a little more responsibility.
Yeah. So there are some choices to be made. Like we chose to go overseas with him. Yeah. And that meant he didn't deploy.
Oh, I see.
Because we went.
Oh, I get it.
So either you do a year deployment or you go overseas with them. There's a couple of options.
Right. So you didn't have the big long chunks. But you can't do that on a ship.
Yeah, I have memories of like a pilot training is a big one. Yeah. Where they'll be gone 8 weeks, but maybe this Hawaii thing, maybe you can go out. Oh, yeah. We went to New Mexico or Arizona, and I remember that trip. I remember it really well.
That's fun.
Because, sometimes you're like, hey, we're moving to Japan, but we're going to go to Disneyland and then Japan. Oh. Because LAX,
it's right
so
there.
You're like, I'm moving, but I am going to Disneyland.
Well, I think that, well, that's what it is. And this is a good, I think, place to wrap. One of the things that I love about living in San Diego is it is a big military town. And one of the things that you hear a lot in the verbiage is, thank you to the families, because you are grateful for the military member, but also their families, because their families are the ones also moving and going these long chunks without mom or dad. And we have that here where it's like our kids will be like, oh, my dad was gone, he's gone on the weekends, and they're like, I haven't seen my dad in 10 months. Like, whew, okay.
Yeah, there's different versions of it, whatever your professions are. But it is kind of full circle, because I have 3 friends whose kids are at boot camp. Yeah. Now that our son's turning 18, so it is crazy to now view it as a parent. Right. And, for my friends. And that version of sacrifice,
absolutely, yeah.
Because they're our neighbor, I don't know when I'm going to see you again. I don't know where you're going to get sent. Yeah. It's just a whole new level of
it's crazy
uncertainty and
And other times you're like, I could use sending my kid to boot camp. Well, thank you. Happy early Veterans Day. Thank you to your family. Sacrifices that you guys made. Thank you to all the serve and your families, the sacrifice you make. And happy Veterans Day, everybody.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, folks, we want to give a special shout out to our Essential as Oils patrons. That is our $25 a month and up patrons. Thanks so much for giving to the podcast, starting with Adam Bush,
Averill Griffiths,
Aubrey Antis,
Allison Nelson,
Andy and Darlene Girton,
Avery Starr,
Bonnie Galindo,
Brandon Schoenberger,
Carrie Teague,
Christopher and Bridget Finland,
Code 2 Grow,
Courtney Eibling,
Demarius Diaz Stevens,
Daniel Owens,
Dave and Melissa Cox,
Dave Hoagland,
Dustin Daly,
Jason and Francis White.
Jen Thirk.
Jessica Hanrahan.
Jonathan Ribera.
Joshua and Nikki Platt.
Jordan Cowan.
Juliana Smith.
Lori Amos.
Lauren Rachel.
Matt and Sam Slosdom.
Michelle Causlan.
Nicole Carraz.
Rachel Wilson.
Rachel Kennedy.
Robert and Nellie Capen.
Scott Elliott.
Stephen Mina.
Tiffany Payne.
And
Tucker Danzy.
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 Thank you.
Tucker Danzy. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye.
Bye.